Greetings in Jesus' name. I want to do a video about food. More specifically, this isn't, regarding weight loss stuff. This is actually about our duties as a wife, with regards to meals and meal planning, feeding our family. Some things I wanted to mention. As sisters, and especially when we're married and we have little ones, quite often there may be a few families that have a different setup just because of maybe work schedules or whatever, but in most cases I think it's safe to say it is the woman's duty in the kitchen. And I know that some people may email me some hate mail over that, but whatever. On that one, I don't mean to be mean, but I think that's part of our duties as a wife and a mother. And I think that we need to encourage each other in doing them and doing them well. That said, I am not, again, perfect. I am still learning on some of these things and trying to do better myself. But I also wanted to share a few little tips and just some thoughts on the topic. First off, just meal planning. I think quite often people take that very flippantly and go about it very haphazardly, and as wives we really need to take time and do that much more carefully. And along with that goes things like food storage. Some people may have different beliefs about not storing up too much, and in general, you can only store so much. You can't take it with you. But I do think there is a certain amount that is just simply prudent. I don't think it's all unreasonable to store up for at least a season, if not even a year or two. These are things, actually, that the Mormon Church adamantly pushes. And please don't email me hate mail about mentioning the Mormon Church. I'm not saying I condone their beliefs on various things, but I will say on food storage, they have it down. I've ran into a lot of their sites just researching the topic, and I have to recommend them on that. They're doing so well on that. I know they feel like they struggle too in getting their members and stuff to actually listen and do their food storage, but in general they're leaps and bounds ahead of most Christians in that topic. And with that, there's a few resources and stuff that I recommend, and part of the reason that I bring this up is because they have a I don't really know what you call it, a kind of a not really a food pantry, but they buy a lot of basic important staples, things like wheat, sugar, flour, and so forth. They buy these in mass bulk and then distribute them to their food kitchens of sort. And I don't mean like food kitchens like for the homeless and such, just like something for their own church members that they go and buy from them, so they get much cheaper prices. And if you research, they will actually in most cases sell to non-Mormons too. They think that it's good to encourage all people to have food storage and such. But I bring that up because if you go to their Provident Living website, and be very careful when you go, please be careful, but if you go to their website, they will have lists of their food prices and of the locations and stuff that you can purchase at. There's one here nearby to me, and I haven't been brave enough to go yet, but I do intend to. I called and asked, and they do sell to outsiders. But I do want to consider going and buying some things in bulk for them. The prices are just really unbelievably cheap, and it's kind of hard to pass that up. I wasn't really sure how my husband would feel about it, but he felt that it was okay to make those purchases. It's not any different than when we go to any store or what have you. But I bring it up just because it's so cheap. And I mean, you can get, if memory serves, a 50-pound bag of wheat berries. I think it was around $10, $12. That is a hugely cheap price compared to most places. But that's just one example. That's one resource I wanted to mention. Hillbilly Housewife. Very educational website. I don't know what faith they are, honestly. But very educational, especially for somebody trying to plan meals on a budget. You can learn a lot there. Now these other two sites, I know they were Mormon related, but very, very good. One called Everyday Food Storage, and it's about using all this food that you store up in your everyday so you get rotated. And a lot of basic, cheap, good, healthy recipes and tips and stuff. And there was one called Freezer Meals Made Easy. That is kind of onto another topic with the food storage and planning. I think as wives, we have to kind of realize we need to plan for the eventual things that are going to come up, especially when you got youngins. You know, you're going to have busy days and you may not always have time to get meals out. Try to plan ahead. If there's a concept called once a month cooking that some people are really into, I've tried that before and it's helpful. I don't do that all the time, but it is nice to have some freezer meals put up into your freezer of things that you've made, not store-bought things, but meals from scratch that are good and healthy and wholesome for your family, and that's something that you can just take out, pop it in the oven. It's good to pre-plan to have those things on hand, and that will keep your budget down, which is a huge thing that will bless your husband and your family greatly. And for the record, I'm still needing to work more on that, so much so. We actually had a week, not last week, I think like week before last, where we all got real sick, and I had just, as I was getting sick, been starting to really focus on some of this, and I hadn't really got that time, so we had to eat out so much that week it wasn't funny, and I was so ashamed of myself. I was like, shame on me, I should have been better prepared. But that's in turn why I'm telling you guys now and trying to encourage you guys, please prepare. It will really be a blessing to your family. Consider doing things like the grinding wheat, like I mentioned, buying wheat berries. We finally, this year we managed to buy a wheat grinder. We did go with an electric version, but there's cheaper manual versions. If you grind your own wheat, your bread will be so much healthier, and it's a lot cheaper, especially if you buy the wheat from the kitchens. But even if you buy it from a more expensive source, it's still going to be healthier and cheaper than store-bought bread. Not to say that I don't still buy store-bought bread. Some I do. I'm trying to get it down to perfected to what my family likes, and I've had a lot of good loaves and I've had a lot of bad loaves too. I can certainly make bread, but it's just unfortunate we are very, very, very picky here. And we shouldn't be, but we are. We've gotten very used to a certain way, and trying to mimic that exact way is sometimes difficult, but I'm getting there a little bit at a time. But the point is try. We need to try. We need to try to learn and develop new skills in the kitchen. But the reason I mention all of these things is because as wives and mamas especially, it's our duties to make sure that our family doesn't go hungry and that things are well planned out. And I think the Bible definitely encourages us to do this, because if you think about the parable about the 10 virgins and the ones that had their oil and such prepared for their lamps, it's very important to prepare and think ahead. You never know what might happen. Our economy's not doing too hot. I don't think anybody will argue with that, and things could happen at any point. Job loss, you name it, anything. We need to be careful and plan out as much as we can. Learn to garden, learn to can. You just buying your chickens whole and canning the broth, that can save you a good bit of money if you happen to buy broth all the time. Just lots of little things. Research and learn. Take the matters of the kitchen and planning the food for your family. Take that seriously. Research it, dig into it. Don't take it flippantly, because it affects your budget, it affects your bodies, it affects your children's attention spans, it affects so much about your family, what you take into your body. And again, believe me, I need to work on this too, but the point is that we share and we encourage each other. We've got to do better with this. I don't see too many people teaching it other than the Mormons, and I commend them for doing a good job on that. They do teach that well, and I think we as believers in Christ really, really need to do a whole lot better in this department, and we sisters need to, do a lot better about planning for our families, keeping budgets low, and cooking from scratch. And if you don't know how to learn, I realize a lot of people may not have been taught to do these things, like gardening or canning, cooking at all, cooking from scratch. But a lot of us have a huge resource that our mamas really didn't have. We have the internet in most cases, and if you're watching this, you probably have the internet. And it can be such a huge resource. YouTube, just websites, blogs, various things. So many people are trying to take that, Titus 2, teach it and pass it on thing, but not enough of us. Not enough of us, nowhere near. But the point is there are some out there, and I have learned so much from the internet. I was fortunate and I grew up on a small farm. I did learn some of these things. Like I had, a basic idea of how to garden and can and things that a lot of people don't. But even at that, what I did learn, I still had to go online and do lots of refreshers. So just delve into that. Take that as your personal responsibility to learn it and just go after it aggressively. I know you can do it. I know any woman out there can go out there and learn all of these things, and believe me, it would be such a blessing to your family. I may try to do more videos along these topics, maybe making various things about the house, or maybe on gardening, cooking, what have you. Just trying to share what I know. I don't claim to be an expert, not by any leap of the imagination, but I just want to pass on what I do know. I think it's important as believers that we pass on what we know, because the younger generations are losing a lot of these skills. It's amazing to me that just even my husband's coworkers, how many of them, when it comes to Thanksgiving, they go to Kroger and buy their entire Thanksgiving spread pre-done for them. To me, that's just mind-boggling that somebody would do that. The cost is phenomenally different, and it's a meal that's really not that hard to make. But they really can't cook basic things, and I know a lot of people can. They just haven't been taught. But if you're one of those people out there that haven't been taught, just take it as a personal challenge to go out there and learn these things. Learn how to feed your family, plan food, and build your storages up so that when things happen, your family doesn't go hungry. I know sometimes budgets don't always work out. Believe me, ours is tight a lot too. But you can do it a little bit at a time. Some people may have the resource to go out and just stock up for a year or two. I think most people probably don't. But just do your best, do a little bit at a time. But go out there on the internet and research it, learn, and aggressively attack these topics, because it's so important for your family. If you have any questions or I can help in any way, email me and let me know. Have a blessed day.